Grab your popcorn and soda and get ready to watch our latest movie recap on Popcorn and Soda. Subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update on your favorite channel. Movie begins with man named Richard. He is a former black tennis athlete in California. He has only one desire since retiring, that he wants to support his two daughters Serena and Venus to become the greatest tennis athlete in the world. Actually, he has 5 daughters, however 3 of them have not interest in tennis. One afternoon, he is busy in meeting with some of the coaches of the tennis club to promote Serena and Venus. So the coaches want to recruit his 2 daughters to join their tennis academy. Almost every week, he meets tennis coaches one by one. Even though he is always rejected, he never gives up. When he gets home, he immediately takes Venus and Serena to practice. The other 3 daughters also watch and support their sisters. While they are practicing tennis on the court, a group of bad boys come there. They want to tease his daughters. As a father, he is very upset, however he still tries to be patient and tell all her daughters to get in the car. When they are about to going, the bad boys are still teasing his daughter. Richard, who is furious, then rebukes them. So they immediately beat Richard in front of his daughters. When they get home, his wife Orizon greets them all. Although their family is very happy, however living in a small house with 5 daughters. Every night after practice, it is a time for Richard to work. They share work with each other. During the day, Orizon will work while Richard will train Serena and Venus and take the other children to their tutoring place. At night it is time for him to work. Meanwhile, Orizon will help their daughters in studies. Despite their busy schedule, their 5 children always in the top 5 list at school. Next day, while reading a sports magazine, Richard sees an article about a famous tennis club coach in America. He gets the idea to promote Venus and Serena to the coach. The next day, he goes to the office. However, he is rejected for the umpteenth time. The coach explains that no matter how good his 2 daughters are, if they don't have money, they won't be able to get into any tennis academy. Hearing those words, Richard feels hurt. At night, on the tennis court, he was thinking about the words the coach had said. Suddenly a group of naughty boys come again in front of him. They said, why is he wasting his time teaching his 2 daughters to play tennis? Because his daughters will only work in a brothel and they can never become famous athletes. Hearing the insult, Richard immediately hit the boy. Rich goes home with a face full of wounds. Seeing her husband's condition, Orizon can only silence. She only focuses on treating Rich's wounds. This have often happened to her husband. A few days later, Richard takes Venus and Serena to see a tennis coach named Cohen. He thinks the reason why all this time the coaches are not interested, maybe because they only watch the recording. Therefore today he plans to show his 2 daughters' ability to the coach. After being forced for the umpteenth time, Cohen is finally willing to test their skills. Cohen is amazed to see their skills. He decides to train them for free. However, he only wanted to accept one child. She is Venus. The next day, before leaving for practice, Venus tries to comfort Serena. She said that Serena had not need to worry about anything, because their father will record all of her rehearsals with Cohen. That way Serena can imitate what Cohen teach from the recording. When Venus and Richard leave, Orizon takes Serena for a workout together. Although not a professional coach like Cohen, Orizon promises to train Serena to become a great tennis player. After training, Venus, Richard and Cohen watches a recording of a professional tennis match. Cohen explains that most world-famous tennis players start their careers by participating in junior tennis tournaments. Hearing the explanation, Richard is interested in registering Venus for the junior tournament. He feels this is the first step for the world to see how great Venus is at playing tennis. After a few months in practicing, until finally the day of the tournament comes, her whole family come to cheer her on. She starts playing. Finally she win match after match in the junior tournament. Even her opponents are upset because they always lost to Venus. One night when Richard, Venus and Serena come home from practice, they see a police car in front of their house. When they entered the house, it turned out that the police come with a child protection service. They are there because they received reports that Rich had exploited his children for forcing his daughter to practice tennis. Hearing this, he feels very hurt. He then explains that from the start, he never forced a single thing on his children. If his children want to become lawyers, then he will educate them to become great lawyers. If his children aspire to become a doctor, he will do everything he can to support his children to get a medical scholarship. But he knows the limit. From the very beginning, they themselves aspire to be the best tennis athlete in the world, and his job is just to train them to find their right way. He never gets angry when they get bad grades at school or they are lazy to practice. So far he has only been a bridge and is responsible for being a father who works hard every day to provide for his family. The presence of the Child Protection Service seems to drop his patience. He is angry because other people don't know anything about his family. Maybe even their own family fall apart, but instead they set foot in his house and interfere in Richard's family affairs. He firmly said that he will be the best father to his daughters. Hearing his explanation, the Child Protection Service then falls silent, feeling ashamed because it has no evidence. They choose to leave. In the next junior championship tournament, when Venus competes, Serena intends to register without Rich's knowledge. While watching Venus match, someone come to greet her and then said that she is amazed to see her daughter Serena's tennis match on another court. Hearing these words, Richard and Orzin immediately go to Serena's place. There they feel very proud, because Serena can prove herself, even if she's just practices alone. Seeing that her parents are watching, she thinks that she will definitely be scolded for registering without their permission. However, Richard actually encourages her and tell her to continue the match with a happy feeling. She finally feels what Venus was feeling. That is competing while listening to the support of her family. After the match end, Venus win the first place while Serena win the second place. News of the two girls' victory got viral throughout America. They are even invited to be speakers in schools, to be an inspiration for young people, in order to avoid the dangers of drugs and take advantage of youth with positive activities. A few days later, Cohen come to Richard's house. There he informed that Venus managed to achieve a record-winning matches with a score of 63-0. And Venus was ranked number 1 as a tennis player aged 3 to 12 years. However, when Cohen wants to register Venus to the next junior tournament, Richard refuses. He feels that Venus' experience of competing at the junior level is sufficient enough now. Venus must return to focus on her education first. He also said that Venus will no longer compete in the junior tournament. He wants Venus to train and prepare for professional level matches. Although the tournament is still a few years away, this means that in the next few years, Venus will never participate in a tournament at all. His decision makes Cohen feels disappointed. Without saying a word, he leaves from there. After Cohen leaves, Richard been looking for another technical academy that doesn't just train Venus to play tennis, but also want to provide a school scholarship for his daughters. He contacts many academies. There is a famous tennis coach named Rick. He is aware by the greatness of Richard's two children. The next day, Rick comes from Florida just to know Venus and Serena's greatness in tennis. While testing them both, Rick is impressed. He is like finding two treasures. Then he offers them a contract so they can enter his tennis academy in Florida. Under the contract, he will cover all of the Richard family's needs in Florida, such as a private home, good food, a comfortable place to practice. He even gives him a job. Hearing the offer, Richard agreed. But if Rick is willing to fulfill his condition too, that is how good Venus and Serena are at the tennis academy. The two of them may only compete or enter tournaments if they seem ready. If he assumes that they aren't ready, then the two of them won't have a match. At first, Rick is surprised to hear Richard's words, even though he really wanted to take them both in many matches. He felt sad if their talent so far only for practice, no competition at all. After they had a long discussion, Rick, who has already fallen in love with her talents, chooses to agree with Rich's conditions. The next day, he and his family left Florida. After 3 years, Venus and Serena have never competed in a tournament. Every day for 3 years they just focus on tennis practice as usual. But the problem is, no matter how hard they practice, don't know what Richard was thinking. According to him, the two of them were still not ready to compete. While they are practicing, Venus tells Rick that she wants to compete in the big junior tournament, which will soon be held in the city of Oakland. Rick initially refuses because he knew that Richard would not allow it. But because Venus really wanted to join the match, he was forced to promise Venus that he would persuade Richard. In the afternoon, he asked Richard to allow Venus to compete in the big junior tournament to have a new experience, like another talented young tennis player named Jennifer. Hearing Rick's words, even though it was hard for Richard, but finally he agreed. However, when he was eating in the canteen, accidentally he watches the news about Jennifer's arrest for drug use. The next day, Rick is confused as to why Venus didn't come to practice. Then he got information that this morning Rich suddenly canceled his two daughters' practice. Then they went to Disneyland. Hearing that, Rick rushes to Richard's house. When he got there, he saw that they had just arrived home. Annoyed, Rick asked why should their practice be canceled. The tournament schedule is getting closer. Rich there told him that he had cancelled the Venus tournament schedule. He felt that Venus's experience of competing at the junior level was enough. Now Venus just needs to focus on studying at school and practice tennis as usual, so that she is not depressed because being too busy like Jennifer, who fell into drugs. Hearing those words, Rick felt very disappointed. If Richard always forbids Venus to compete, it's not good for Venus' career. On the other hand, Rick couldn't do anything, after all Rich is Venus' father. Then he left from there with a heavy heart. Venus, who was listening to their conversation, was angry. Why does her father always forbid her wishes? Inside the house, Horizon controls her emotions. She was fed up with Richard's decision, because he never discussed with her first, or even just asked Venus. She reminded that the family is a team, that requires teamwork. She also reminded that Rich remains selfish like this, then someday Venus will definitely leave him. Horizon's words finally brought Rich to his senses. He then met Venus, who was practicing alone. There he tells the reason why he is being protective with all his children. It was because he didn't want Venus to have the same fate as him. When he was a child, he was beaten by a group of white people on the side of the road. And when he screamed for his father's help, his father ran away in fear and left him alone. From that incident, he decided to be a better parent to all his children. But now he realized that he had gone too far. The trauma of the past actually made Venus tormented. While hugging Venus, who he loved so much, he said that he would fully support Venus' decision to compete in the junior tournament. A few days later, there is a news about Venus, a young talent ranked 1 in age 12, who has been missing all this time. Then it went viral across America. At night, a message from a famous sports brand named Fila visit their house. They came there to offer Venus a contract worth $3 million. Hearing the big offer, instead of immediately agreeing, but Richard actually told Venus to answer it herself. He has changed now. He realizes what he needs to do. As a father is only to support, not forcing. All eyes then turned to Venus. This was the first time she had taken such an important decision in her life. After thinking it over carefully, she replied that she turned down the $42 billion offers. She found out that this Fila brand signed her just because she was famous, not because of her ability in playing tennis. How could she be offered such a big contract? Yet during these 3 years she had never competed at all. Rick then scolds Venus because she had wasted a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Rick is afraid that a brand as big as Fila will be rejected. Then later there will be no other brands willing to offer cooperation contracts again. But Venus's decision was solid. She only wanted to be signed after people saw how great she was at playing tennis. She even promised in the tournament later, even though she has to fight a young tennis player, who is now ranked number 1 in the world, though she will definitely win. After hearing Venus' decision, Rick couldn't help but be silent. The long-awaited tournament day has arrived. In the first match, Venus looks still stiff due to nervousness, because she hasn't been in an official match for a long time. Her name is famous on TV, but because she never participated in any championship, so the ranking has dropped drastically against the top tennis player. She made mistakes several times and lost a lot of points. She thought that if she lost, then her father would be disappointed. However, Rich instead told her to have fun on the field, enjoying the match she had been dreaming of for a long time. That one sentence from Rich, then it made her feel excited again. Finally she won the match, and she will go to the final round. Everyone was impressed by her appearance. In the midst of her excitement, Rick announces that he got a call from the Fila brand offering $4 million. Venus's name is now becoming more and more famous, because tomorrow she will be competing against a young world-ranked tennis athlete named Vicario. Rick asked Richard to accept the contract right now. He was afraid that tomorrow Venus would lose to Vicario, then the offer will be cancelled. Rick hoped that this second chance would not be wasted, but Richard refused. He believed that his daughter could beat Vicario. When Richard wants to get out of the stadium, he saw Serena was seeing the field where her sister had been competing. He knew that Serena was jealous of Venus' success. He tells Serena that there will be differences between her and Venus in the next few years. He is confident that Venus will become the number 1 tennis athlete in the world, while Serena can certainly be a great tennis athlete of all time. Now she had to focus on practicing. Hearing her father's words, Serena felt excited again. The next day the final match began. There Venus fought Vicario for the first time in her life. She was warmly welcomed by the audience when entering the field. Finally the match starts. Her attack made Vicario lose. The greatest young athlete in the world lost. Even a few points left and Venus would win and her name could become more and more famous. However, in the middle of the game, Vicario suddenly asked the referee to pause. because she wants to go to the toilet. After 20 minutes of waiting, she hasn't come back. The whole audience was confused except of Richard and Rick. They both know that this is Vicario's trick. She knew that Venus must be nervous because she hadn't competed in years. Therefore she purposely went to the toilet and left Venus alone in the field. In the midst of thousands of eyes watching her, the roar of the audience began to be heard. They whispered to each other asking when Vicario would be back, and these voices made Venus nervous. It distracted her mental. A few minutes later Vicario is finally back. After that the match continued. Venus lost, no matter how good she plays tennis. And no matter how hard she practiced. If she is nervous then the game must be messed up. In the dressing room she kept crying over her defeat. Seeing the beloved daughter feel sad, Richard and Orizon tried to cheer her up. They said that even though she lost, she still made them both proud earlier. The whole world had witnessed how she managed to frighten the first-ranking young tennis player. Hearing the support of her parents, she could slowly try to accept her defeat. When the family is coming home, they were surprised to see that there were so many people outside welcoming Venus. They were all her fans. Venus is very happy despite of her defeat. Thanks for watching.